K9 dragged a veteran from the tracks. The note in his pocket stopped the unit cold. The call came in flat, the way dispatch reads the worst kinds of sentences. Male on the rail bed at Harper Crossing. Possible suicide attempt. Units respond. Officer Maya Torres was 3 blocks out. Coffee still mean hot in the cup holder. She flicked the lights, felt the familiar click of the harness in her palm, and glanced back at her partner. Cody, a dark sable German shepherd with the kind of stillness that makes noise behave, lifted his head. The pull harness already wrapped his chest. They trained it for exactly this, a way to move a human body without teeth, without panic, without making a terrible moment worse. "Let's work," Maya said. The patrol car nosed to a stop by the fence line. Rain came in careful needles. The crossing arms blinked red in a rhythm that always felt too calm for what it meant. Down in the cut, a man lay across the gravel, one boot off, the other pressed into a railroad tie like he was trying to pin himself to a decision. Maya scanned fast. No weapons visible, respiration shallow, eyes open and far away. Early thrum of a train in the distance. Not now, but soon. "Sir," she called, voice angled gently so it would reach him without startling. "My name is Maya. This is my dog, Cody. We're here to help." Nothing. Cody stood at heel, eyes on the man, ears listening past the rain. He didn't bark. He didn't need to. "Jacob Monroe," dispatch added in her ear a beat later. "Veteran. Caller says he's local. Brother tried to keep him on the phone." Maya's throat clicked. She took the slope in a low slide, boots chewing mud, left hand up to show she wasn't carrying anything but a leash. "Jake," she tried, borrowing the nickname strangers use when they're trying to land somewhere soft. "Look at me." His gaze skittered, then fixed on Cody like a person who'd remembered a word he hadn't used in years. Maya crouched 2 arm lengths away. "I'm going to put my dog right here," she said, tapping the gravel between them. "He won't touch you unless you ask." Cody lay down, long and quiet, the weight of him making the ground feel less eager to move. On the ridge, the crossing bells started their 2-note warning. A horn answered, still far but writing itself nearer. Maya felt the clock stand up. "Jake," she said, calm pressed into every syllable. "We're gonna scoot, okay? You and me and the dog off the rail. Nobody's going to grab you. You're in charge of your feet." A muscle jumped in his cheek. "It's loud," he said, voice sand dry. "Inside my head." "I know," Maya said. "Borrow Cody's quiet for a minute." She gave the hand signal he knew like a prayer. Cody slid forward on his belly until his shoulder touched the man's forearm. He didn't lick. He didn't paw. He just leaned, a steadying weight a child could move, but a drowning man might hold. The horn called again, closer now. "Maya made the choice you make when time decides for you." "Cody, drag," she breathed. The shepherd flowed to his feet, pivoted and backed, harness working like a seatbelt, creating movement where there hadn't been any. Jake's arm came with him, then his shoulder, then, stubbornly, his ribs. "Help him help you," Maya said, not to scold, but to give his hands a job. "Heel of your hand on the strap. That's it. Yes. Good." It wasn't elegant. It was enough. In 3 wet, graceless seconds, the top half of Jake's body was off the rail. In 6 more, his hips cleared. Maya hooked her forearm under his knees, pushed, and the 3 of them rolled into the dark grass as the freight thundered through, wind and steel and the moral luck of seconds measured in inches. Everything shook, then stilled. Jake lay panting, eyes wide, as if his body hadn't yet told his brain what it had survived. Maya kept a hand near, not on, and let Cody do the physics. The dog pressed himself along Jake's side, anchoring, that thing they teach for panic storms. "You are here. The ground is here. Stay with us." Up on the roadbed, tires hissed. Officer Reed slid down the bank with a trauma kit. Fire EMS lights bloomed like a sunrise made of duty. "I'm okay," Jake said hoarsely, the way men say it when they aren't. "You're here," Maya said. "That's better than okay." Reed clipped a pulse ox to his finger. Tachycardic, cold, shaking. He handed Maya a blanket. She handed it to Jake. Can I touch your dog?" Jake asked, voice steadying around the edges. Ask him, Maya said, and Jake held out a hand the way someone who's lived with dogs does. Low, palm open. Cody pressed his head into it with a sigh that sounded like a door, seating back into a hinge. EMTs moved in, practiced in kind. They worked around Cody as if he were furniture and family. As they lifted Jake to the gurney, something thin and folded slipped from his jacket pocket and landed in the wet grass. Reed bent to pick it up, intending to pass it back with the wallet and keys. Wait, Jake said, sharper than anything he'd said yet. Give that to her. Reed glanced at Maya. You sure? Jake nodded. Maya took the paper. It was damp on the edges, but folded with a care that said it had been opened and closed many times. On the outside, in ink gone soft with sweat. If a dog finds me first, open this. Her fingers didn't want to at first. She made them. Inside was one page, written blocky and careful in all caps. To the handler of the dog who reaches me before the train. I'm not asking you to fix me. I'm asking you to read this out loud so my brain hears it. I was 31K9, Army MP, Kandahar. My partner's name was Kilo. He died on a call I made. I have not forgiven myself. The noise in my head tells me I don't get to be in rooms where people breathe easy. If your dog gets to me first, I promised my buddy Luis I would take it as a sign to stay. He said handlers trust dogs even when they can't trust themselves. So read this. I will stay if a dog comes. If I broke my promise, tell Luis I'm sorry. If I kept it, tell him I did because your dog said so. Jacob Monroe. Maya didn't realize her lips had started moving. She read it anyway, all of it, because the letter asked her to, and because Cody's nose was on the paper like he knew his part. Reed cleared his throat, a man pretending rain was to blame. Another unit slid in at the top of the cut. Officers gathered in that loose circle cops make when the worst thing didn't happen and their bodies are catching up. Maya looked up. He kept it, she said, and her voice had that sanded down sound grief and relief make when they share a throat. He kept it because a dog came. The unit went quiet in a way you can feel. Not the awkward quiet for paperwork and radio codes. The kind reserved for flags and folded hands. Reed rubbed a knuckle under his eye. Get him warm, he told EMS, then to Maya, softer. Good work. His note did the work, she said, and tucked it back into its fold like it was a fragile thing you return to a museum. At the ER, Dr. Maida met them at the door with the face that knows how to triage the seen and the unseen. Vitals stabilized, fluids, a warm blanket that smelled like hundreds of other saved nights, a psych consult who didn't lead with a clipboard. Maya stood back, Cody at heel, until the room stopped humming like it might levitate. Can I? Jake motioned to the dog. 5 more minutes, Dr. Maida said, reading a pulse the way some people read the horizon. Then we talk next steps. Will you read it to me again? Jake asked Maya. I heard it. I just want to keep hearing it until it sticks. She unfolded the page and read. The same simple lines, richer the second time, because now the dog was there on purpose. 1,000 years of covenant in a warm coat and a black nose. When they were done, Jake fished under his gown's edge, sheepish, and pulled out a pair of dog tags on a cord. One was his. The other was not regulation. It had a bite mark across the edge like a signature. Kilos, he said. I was going to leave them on the ballast. Felt like debt paid. Guess I'll hang on to them a bit longer. Good plan, Maya said. A nurse popped in. There's a guy in the waiting room asking for Mr. Monroe, she said, smiling like she'd been given a piece of good gossip she was allowed to share. Name's Luis Rivera. Says he was told to come by a mutual friend with 4 legs. Jake blinked. He moved back? I thought he was still in El Paso. Looks like he made good time, Maya said. We can bring him in if you want. Jake nodded, and when Luis stepped through the curtain a minute later, broad-shouldered, eyes wet, grin cracked wide open. The room got warmer by 10 degrees. I told you, Luis said, hugging him without apology. You promised. He looked at Cody. Gracias, hermano, he added to the dog, as if Cody needed Spanish to understand credit. Back at the precinct the next afternoon, the watch commander pinned a scrap of paper to the corkboard because not everything that matters belongs in a report. Pulled one back at Harper. Note said, "I will stay if a dog comes." Dog came. Someone tucked a photo under it. Cody sitting stiff and proud on the wet gravel beside an abandoned boot. Rain haloing his fur. Someone else slid a coffee shop gift card under the pushpin for Dr. Maida's night nurses with the scrawl, "Thank you for keeping him." A week later, Maya and Cody walked into a room they wished didn't have to exist and were grateful did. The VA group that meets on Wednesdays in a borrowed church hall. Metal chairs, bad coffee, laughter that doesn't ask too many questions. Jake sat at the end of the circle, Kilo's tag catching the fluorescent light, hands steady in a way that would have seemed like fiction 9 days before. When it was his turn, he didn't clear his throat. He didn't apologize for taking up sound. He pulled the letter from his pocket and read it out loud one more time. Not because he had to, but because saying something 3 times sometimes makes a thing true. "I kept it," he finished, voice stronger than at the tracks. "Because a dog came." The room breathed. Maya clipped Cody's leash to the chair leg, sat and let her hands be still for once. She looked at the circle and at the dog who had moved a life 3 feet and the width of a decision. The unit had stopped cold because a note had been written in past tense and a dog had conjugated it into future. Sometimes a save isn't a bite or a tackle or a TV montage. Sometimes it's the simplest physics: a dog with a harness, a handler with a calm voice, a promise written on damp paper, and a man willing, just for now, to let all 3 pull. If this story gave you a reason to breathe, like and share it. Subscribe to Next Kindness, where the next thing that happens is grace.